You know things in the fantasy hockey game are getting serious when waiver wire episodes are two-parters. It's the second leg of our big-time waiver wire target special on the Monday episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We're diving deep into all of the forward must-adds you need for the upcoming week. Big-time bets. Let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday, fantasy fanatics. We hope that it's been another good week of fantasy hockey dominance. Welcome back inside the lab to the latest edition of your daily 30-minute source. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast with Steele and Flip. Shout out to the everydayers holding us down, making us your first listen every single day. We will continue to be here Monday through Friday to bring you all the fantasy fire that you need. Mr. Roden, there are a number of tasty forward options that I have on my list here. If you guys missed yesterday's episode, Sunday special, we gave a bunch of goalie blue line options. Who are you looking at, my friend? I got 6 players. I got honorable mentions. I'm excited to get to bets. Over to you. Let's get after it.
Well, I'm going to start in the Western Conference with the Anaheim Ducks, and I got 2 players from this organization. Number 1, you love this guy, Mason McTavish. Number 2, Leo Carlsson.
Yes, sir.
McTavish is rostered at 31% right now on Yahoo, while Carlsson is rostered at 13%. McTavish, 5 points, 21 shots, 6 hits in his last 5 games. 3 games this upcoming week for the Ducks. They take on the San Jose Sharks, Calgary Flames, and the Vancouver Canucks. Same can be said for Leo Carlsson. He's got 8 points in his last 5 games. He had 4 points in that win over the New York Rangers over the weekend. I really like the way he's playing on that second line with Alex Killorn and Cutter Gauthier. You know, I don't tune in and watch too many of the Anaheim Ducks game, but when I do, Leo Carlsson is a highlight and a standout. And there's no question in my mind he's going to be the number 1 guy, the number 1 center moving forward in the Anaheim Ducks organization. He's been great so far this year. 39 points in 66 games, 19 goals, 20 assists. He's a +8, which is surprising for the Anaheim Ducks. And for him, 92 shots, and he's shooting at 20.7 shooting percentage. Again, like Alex Killorn is going off right now. Cutter Gauthier has been popping off recently. So there's a few options in the Anaheim Ducks top 6 group. Of course, like we mentioned on yesterday's episode, Jackson Lacombe on the back end, potentially streaming Lucas Dostal or John Gibson in a good matchup as well. But those are the forwards from the Ducks I'm looking at right now. That second line has been really good.
Not to get overly excited about the Anaheim Ducks, who clearly are going to continue to have growing pains as a very young team. There is a lot to like about this Anaheim squad at basically every position. Olin Zellweger on the back end with a number of good young players. We're not going back to the Jackson Lacombe angle, Steele, I promise. Don't worry, we've covered it nicely. But for real, Dostal, you know how I feel about him as well. All the forwards here, and there's a reason why Leo Carlsson was taken by the Ducks over really good players like Adam Fantilli, Will Smith, Michkov in that draft. He is the real deal. And does he still have a lot to round out in his game? Yes, but he's a prototypical two-way center, and he was on my list as well. Thank you for covering him. The Ducks deserve a lot of credit. Realistically, because of that heater that the Blues have gone on, it's really kind of tough for me to see a team that currently, as we record this, are 15 points back of the second wild card. However, they clearly have the needle pointed back in the right direction in Anaheim. So shout out to you for bringing this up. Love Leo Carlsson. Quick honorable mention very quickly because of the ownership. Speaking of the Blues, Dylan Holloway, you've covered him multiple weeks. The ownership's way up there. It's creeping up to 80 across all platforms. But if you are that 1 out of 5 league that still has him, grab him and quickly steal. I know the Leafs schedule isn't great this week, but Bobby McMann is in a great spot playing alongside Johnny Tavares and Willie Nylander, 2 hot players. I don't need to sell it anymore. Bobby McMann also throws his body around. He's up to 150 shots on the season, 33 points in 65 games. He can go cold and hot, but if he's playing there, And maybe next week rolls around. I just wanted to throw him out there quickly before it's back to you, and because I've spoken about this player as well. Mackie Samoskevich is continuing to get a very good opportunity. Now, Brad Marchand and Sam Bennett. Matthew Tkachuk will not be rushed back. He's too important for Florida, and he has been banged up. A lot of miles on the body. So for now, I like Samoskevich still on that left wing, along with Bennett and Marchand. Good young player still on a really good team.
Big win for Montreal over Florida on Sunday night. Puts them back into a playoff spot over the New York Rangers right now, the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. I love that you're highlighting Samoskevich.
4 games for the Panthers as well this week.
Yeah, 4 games this week for Florida. And I don't mind mentioning Bobby McMann. Like I said, I would stay away from the 4 teams that only have 2 games this upcoming week, the Toronto Maple Leafs being one of them. But that second line, I mean, John Tavares, Nyla, if you get a chance to play with those guys, you have to take a chance, even though it might not be a great week to stream the entire time. And just taking 2 games, if you can pop him in the lineup on Tuesday and on Thursday when they play, so be it. He's been a great performance for that second line right now in Toronto. So I don't mind highlighting Bobby McMann. I would maybe just stay away from the bottom 6 and some defensemen out there. I'm going back to the Seattle Kraken. We don't really talk about the Seattle Kraken, or we haven't really talked about them this season because they've been out of it. They've just, they've sort of been a train wreck. Outside of Vince Dunn, realistically, there's really no one to be streaming. We've mentioned Shane Wright. We mentioned Kakko when he got traded there. I'm looking at Jaden Schwartz and Jared McCann. There hasn't been great options throughout the year, but I think right now you can get a lot of value for them. 4 games this upcoming week, I believe, for the Kraken. Let me just make sure that is correct. Sorry, 3 games this upcoming week for the Seattle Kraken. Dallas Stars, Vancouver Canucks, and San Jose Sharks. So a little bit of a mixed bag there competition-wise, but Jared McCann and Jaden Schwartz have been the top players the last couple of weeks. Schwartz, 8% on Yahoo, 5 points in his last 5 games. Jared McCann might be a little bit tougher. He's still rostered above 50%. He's at 52% on Yahoo, but he's on a 4-game point streak, 6 points, 19 shots, and 5 hits in his last 5 games. And again, a little bit of different playing styles. Jaden Schwartz just goes about his business. There's nothing flashy about it. He just makes the smart play at the smart time. And he always seems to be in those danger areas and capitalizing on them. And then Jared McCann, to me, I love his release. Quick release, quick wrist shot. I think he's a goal. He's a natural goal scorer, in my opinion. It obviously hasn't been a great year for Seattle. A lot of learning curves for them going down the future, but I still think Jared McCann brings a ton of value. 52 points on the season so far in 74 games, 45 hits, 41 blocks, 182 shots. The peripherals fill out themselves. If he can get some some consistent offensive production, I think Jared McCann is one of those guys that could easily be rostered at 70%. Just hasn't been that type of year for Seattle and their players.
Obviously a tougher sell. This team is eliminated from the postseason, and a team that, I've spoke at length about. I've been betting against this team with regularity, teased to the final segment of today's episode. They are the best of the worst teams in the NHL. So there's still some value there. They're just a very unbalanced club. I feel like it's a bit of a mishmash of things going on. Your Jaden Schwartz take, however, very accurate, a very serviceable. To me, Jaden Schwartz, over the last couple of years, he's that perfect stream option when he's hot. Good player. Very good player that I think you have to separate sometimes what he means on the ice to the team and the fantasy value, because realistically, he can go cold right now. I like it. The rest of the episode stays red hot with all of our favorite targets for the week at the forward position. If you missed Sunday's special, we got goalies, we got blue liners. Tap into the channel, smash that subscribe button, drop us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. The feedback means the world to both Steele and I, so leave us some comments. We try to get better to get you guys to the top. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. You know how we feel about FanDuel on this podcast, and with madness in the building, Elite 8, you can bet on the action like never before. Right now, new customers get that $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 wager hits. That's $200 in extra cash to use on everything from the buzzer beaters to the Cinderellas to who cuts down those nets. We pick the favorites. We stay in the action with the live betting, and Steele and I love those same game parlays. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started and get in on college hoops all tournament long.
And thank you so much for making the pod your first listen every single day. Like Flip said, hit that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. We appreciate all that love and support you show us, especially throughout the entire season. It means the world to us. Waiver wire targets. Of course, we'll get to big time bets. Monday's bets coming up at the end of this episode. We got a few more options forward wise that can help you win your weekly matchups in the playoffs. I got to go back to Jonathan Huberdeau. Again, might be a little bit tougher right now to go get him. He's around the same. He actually is at exactly the same percentage on Yahoo as Jared McCann, 52% right now. I think if he's available, you got to go get him. 4 games this week for Calgary. They're playing for so much. The season's on the line. Tough schedule for them, but I think their top guys, who have been their top guys all season, will continue to produce in the offensive zone. Nazem Kadri, Jonathan
Naz has been
those guys.
So good.
He's been unreal lately. 4 games this week: Avalanche, Utah, Ducks, and the Golden Knights. So like I said, tougher schedule for the Calgary Flames. But even though Jonathan Huberdeau is obviously not the same as he was in Florida, he's finally getting to a point with the Calgary Flames where he can be comfortable just as himself. He doesn't have to be the top dog. He doesn't have to be playmaking and facilitating like we saw him do in Florida. I think the stress of the move, obviously the stress of being with a new organization, how everything went down affected him in the first 2 years. Right now, 58 points. It's a career high for him with Calgary. 58 points in 72 games, 27 goals, back to a 20-digit mark in that department, 140 shots. You'd like to see that a little bit higher. The blocks and hits are actually pretty good for a guy like Jonathan Huberdeau, 31 years old. I just think right now, the way the top 6 have played in Calgary, especially Nazem Kadri, obviously it's going to be tough to go out and get him. He's not available out there.
For sure.
But when you look at the top 6, you've mentioned Matt Coronado, Morgan Frost, Nazem Kadri, Pospisil, Huberdeau. This top 6 has been dangerous the last couple of weeks, fighting for their chance for a playoff spot. And I still think if Jonathan Huberdeau is out there in your league, you got to go take advantage. 4 games this week. I think it's a good value pick.
Well, let me dive right into somebody named Morgan Frost then, Steele, because that was a very nice segue, and we didn't even plan that. Look, Morgan Frost has been a player, considering that he is a first-round draft pick, and I know there's been a lot going on in Philly, and maybe that wasn't the right spot for him, and maybe I just am a little bit too high on this player. I like this kid, Steele. I like his game. He's a very smart player. He goes about his business effectively, and since joining Calgary, 8 points in 22 games doesn't jump off the page per se, but over the last couple of games, not only has he found the score sheet, 3 points in the last 5. He's got 6 hits. He's got 5 blocked shots. He's got shots on net. The time on ice is up. He is also this number 1 centerman on the top power play. I like what I've seen from Calgary. I don't need to say much more. You also mentioned 4 games, 32% Fantrax, 3 on Yahoo, 5 on ESPN. Go out and get yourself a very reliable piece right now on a team that's kind of, to me, has been really fun to watch. I know they were right in there with Edmonton on Saturday, and if you take away Leon Draisaitl's performance, they've got that game in the bag. So this team is very much alive. I don't know if you remember this, but you and I did a lot of preview shows this year, and I think there was a lot of hate going at Calgary, and you and I were sitting here going, I know both of us said it, they're going to be nearly as bad as people said. Are they a true contender? We'll see. But I really like Morgan Frost this week, Steele. Had to throw him out there. I got 2 more players. I'm ready for bets whenever you are, but back to you for whoever else you're looking at.
It was definitely more you than me hyping up the Calgary Flames. So I'll give you kudos.
Still a fringe team, but they're competitive.
Still a fringe team. I think, again, a lot of people were overlooking what they could get done, especially with rookie Dustin Wolf in the crease, but he's been spectacular for them, of course. Offensively, Nazem Kadri's been popping off, like we said.
Yep.
I'm going back to the Eastern Conference, back to this player we've talked about since he returned from injury. This is the one that surprises me the most, that he's not rostered at a higher percentage. Boone Jenner, 26% on Yahoo. Does not make any sense to me why he is not even at 60, 70% right now. I don't understand it. He's playing with Adam Fantilli and Ken Johnson right now on that second line. When you look what he's done in the 16 games he's played, 5 goals, 10 assists, 15 points, 15 points, 44 shots, 12 blocks, and 31 hits. That's all in 16 games so far this season.
Yep.
And while Columbus has really withered their chances away from where they were at the Four Nations face-off,
Yeah.
5-6 game losing streak. I believe they're 3-6-1 in their last 10 right
Yes,
now.
they are.
They're still in it. They are still fighting
Very
for
much
a
so.
chance in the playoffs. 75 points. They're 2 points back of the Montreal Canadiens for that last wild card spot right now, with a few games in hand on the teams ahead of them. So this is a very important week for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Very good schedule where they can play their game, use their speed, score in flurries, score in bunches. I like the schedule. Besides the one against the Avalanche, which is going to be a tough matchup for them, they take on the Nashville Predators, Toronto Maple Leafs, and Ottawa Senators. So 4 games this week. Boone Jenner, he's a guy that fills out the peripherals. He's in the top 6, top power play unit. He gets penalty kill time. He pretty much does it all. That's why he is their leader. That is why he has the C. He's the guy offensively that the young crew look to be the mentor. So Boone Jenner, I like the way he fills out all those peripheral categories. Like I said, 15 points in 16 games. I'm surprised. I'm shocked that he's not higher. He's not rostered at a higher percentage.
It's a mistake, and I understand that maybe people aren't looking at Columbus the way that they should be because of the prolonged losing streak at a very important time of the season, the most important, the most critical, and that does indicate a lot of what a team is made of, for sure. However, I've spoken about Boone Jenner at length. It fills my heart with fantasy joy when you talk about players like that, Steele. For sure, he has had those injuries, right? Almost every single season over the last number of years, he's missed significant time. And it has nothing. The guy's still a warrior. I swear down, he would be out there if he could. If it wasn't the doctors going, no, you're not allowed to play. You have to recover. He's a stud. And I absolutely love that you're mentioning it. Quickly, 2 more players, 2 veterans. Taylor Hall's on a heater, Steele. I don't know if anyone's paying attention to this, but he had a hat trick. And look, it's Anaheim, Nashville, and Montreal. But I actually don't care. You shouldn't really be focused too much on what these team players have been doing against and just focus and ride the wave. And Taylor Hall has that pedigree. It's been well documented what's gone on with Taylor Hall. We don't need to talk about it. A star in the league for a number of years, fallen off, went to Chicago, injuries. Right now, red hot. Carolina, a good team. That's all you need to know. 41 on Fantrax, 45 on Yahoo, 18 on ESPN. You're looking for a offensive bump because he's not going to bring you much peripheral coverage. Taylor Hall, absolutely perfect. Caps, Wings, Bruins, mixed bag special for the Canes. But I actually don't hate that Red Wings Bruins angle to score some goals. So hit me with Taylor Hall this week. Worth the risk, playing on a pretty good line right now, I believe, with Kotkaniemi, Ross Levick on that second line who are clicking. Taylor Hall, worth the shot this week.
You already know I'm with you. I've picked him up in the competitive league. I'm down right now 8-4 going into Sunday. So this is a big matchup. I need somehow to claw back and win this one in the competitive league. But I picked him up, so I'm there with you. My last player, and then we'll get to big time bets after the break. Real quickly, Morgan Geekie, who you've mentioned a few times throughout the season, 14% on Yahoo. When a guy's playing with David Pastrnak, you got to take a look at him. Even though the Boston Bruins are not the same team that we have grown up to know. This is still a very dangerous line with David Pastrnak, Morgan Geekie, and Pavel Zacha on the first line for the Boston Bruins. 4 games this week for Boston. They take on the Washington Capitals, Montreal Canadiens, Carolina Hurricanes, and the Buffalo Sabres. So a pretty good schedule for them upcoming. And again, like I said, if you're playing with David Pastrnak, you've got to take a look and look what it's done to his game. Career high in goals, 27. Career high in points, 42. Career high in shots on net, 133. He has a physical aspect to his game, 98 hits, 28 shots on net. He's just getting less than 17 minutes of average ice time right now. But on the first power play unit with Pastrnak, first line with Pastrnak, he's got a goal scorer's touch. If he's playing with the right guys, I mean, you go back to his days with Seattle, even though it was okay, 28 points in 69, 22 points in 73 games. He's playing with the right caliber of players for his age right now that can help him blossom into a really good productive NHL player. Obviously going to a new franchise in Seattle at the time, it's a little bit more difficult when you're 20, 21 years old. So now he's playing in Boston. They've got a lot of young guys right now. You get to play with David Pastrnak. There's only up from there. So Morgan Geekie, 14% rostered, 4 games this upcoming week for the Boston Bruins. When we come back after the break, big time bets on the docket for Flip and I. We're bringing in those locks, those winning picks on Monday after the break. And once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day, Monday through Friday. 7 o'clock in the morning is when you can find our episodes. Hit the subscribe button, the follow button, share with your friends and family out there. Still waiting to get to 2,000 subscribers. Would mean the world to us if we can get there before the playoffs come around. Appreciate all the love and support. Flip, over to you, my friend. Which is the first game you're looking at for Monday night?
Well, quickly, last waiver wire target.
Okay, last waiver wire.
Victor Arvidsson popped a very nice goal on Saturday. I understand that's just 1 goal in 1 game, 4 shots on net, 2 hits. Draisaitl's back, and right now he's on his wing. Nuff said. And the Oilers, I know, are in a precarious position. They got the Knights, Sharks, and Kings this week. To me, this is an auto ad if you need a forward with offensive upside. He's playing with Leon. Leon's focus. He knows he's going to have to carry the load. I'd expect him to go beast mode against even the Knights. This is going to be a good week, I think, for the Oilers in general. 35 on Fantrax, 12 on Yahoo, 27 on ESPN. To me, Steele, that's a sneaky good one. Quickly, I'm just going to fire off all 3 of my picks because it is a pretty quiet board. Calgary rolls into Colorado. Bad time for the Calgary Flames to run into the Avalanche when they need wins so badly. 9-1-0, the Colorado Avalanche in their last 10 against these Calgary Flames, and that's all you need to know because this team is for real, Steele. We've covered all those angles, and very quickly, we just talked about it on Sunday's episode. The Dallas Stars are starting to flex their muscle as a true Stanley Cup contender. I said it last year. I was on the Stars. They fell short. This is my pick for the Stanley Cup, Steele. I'll get it out now. I got money in on Dallas early. Could other things happen? Of course. Are we going to talk about all of those cup angles and their other good teams? For sure. If they can get Heiskanen back, fantasy aside, that will be critical. I love the Dallas Stars, and I'm going to hammer them hard down the stretch because they want that top spot in the division. 8-2-0 against Seattle. Seattle is average. Covered that angle too. Taking them heavy on the money line. This is a parlay, so don't get at me for the minus 200. Just thank me later because those 2 money line picks are banging. Lock of the night very quickly, and it hit for me last week. Rupe Hintz has 7 assists in his last 4 games. He's an assist magician. Very quickly, that Rantanen, Hintz, and Robertson line is very dangerous. One of the best in the business. I'll be taking them regularly as well. Rupe Hintz, anytime assist, lock of the night.
Well, that goes very well with one of my picks, and I agree with you. This was a tough board for Monday to pick money lines or anything along those. So I'm going with 3 player props, all anytime goal. Number 1, Nathan MacKinnon, anytime goal. This guy's always around the action. He's always around the net, always looking for opportunities to score. And again, this home point streak that he's been on is absolutely incredible. He leads the NHL in points still. I know Kucherov's on his tail, though.
Yeah.
Connor Hellebuck leading for the Hart Trophy odds right now. Nathan MacKinnon at plus 146 last time I saw. So it's going to be a tight race for this Hart Trophy. Anyways, Nathan MacKinnon, anytime goal for my first pick in this matchup. You know who they're playing. Who are the Colorado Avalanche playing? I'm blanking right now.
That's okay. The Avs are at home to the Flames.
Yeah, this point streak is absolutely, this home point streak is absolutely insane. Thank you. It's the Calgary Flames. Nathan MacKinnon, anytime goal for my first pick. Second pick. This one goes well with your Rupe Hintz anytime assist because I'm taking Jason Robertson anytime goal, the hot hand.
Boom.
A hat trick in his last 5 games. He's got 5 goals in his last 5. He's got the hot stick right now. Same can be said for Nico Hischier. He also had a hat trick in his last game against Minnesota. New Jersey Devils taking on the Minnesota Wild once again on Monday night. Hischier, 33 goals on the season, 4 goals in his last 5 games. Nico Hischier, anytime goal for my last and third pick. Lock of the night, though, it is going to Jason Robertson, anytime goal.
then that's sensational, Steele. Might have to just bet on those two together. Now I'm liking it even more so. Apple from Hintz, goal from Jason Robertson. Let's just tuck in and get this playoff paper. It's a big push now, my friend. I'm hyped up for it. Let's get after it. We got guests coming up over the next couple of episodes as well, everybody. Stay tapped into the pod. We'll take you over the top.
Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Pod your first listen every single day. For your second listen, make sure you go check out the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. From your boys here, Flip and Steele, we wish you good luck with those weekly matchups, your big time bets, of course, on Monday, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.